Hello and welcome to another video. Today I am bringing you my September wrap up, which was actually pretty darn good if I do say so myself. So in September I read a total of 15 books and page count was 6,221 pages. I'm pretty okay with that page count. So I'm just gonna go for it. It was a pretty good month for like star ratings. I only had 2 3-stars and then the rest were 4s and 5s. And yeah, I'm really happy because I managed to complete both my Bookoplathon TBR and my Magical Readathon TBR, and completed all the other books that were on my TBR but not actually on my Readathon TBR. So I am very happy with how September went. So let's just go through everything I read. So first up, and I've just realised that page count is incorrect. It's more than 6,221 because I did also finish reading Queen of Rain Darkness by Cassandra Clare. I was 236 pages into this, so add in like another 600 pages onto my count, so it's still less than 7,000 pages this month, but it is definitely more than 6,221 pages. Completely forgot about this because I started this in July, read the first 236 pages in July, and then me and Liv decided to take a break from the buddy read, but then we was going to continue it in September, but then Liv ended up DNFing it, so I continued without her. So yeah, obviously this was a 5-star. This is my 3rd time reading this book and it still breaks my heart, but I love it so much. I just love everything about this trilogy, and I think this is a really good way to end the trilogy. There's a lot of criticism about this trilogy, but it is my favourite, and that is partly because of the characters, but also the whole thing with Fuel, which I can't go into because spoilers, which I think is going to be very relevant in the Wicked Powers trilogy that's going to be coming out in a few years. And yeah, I just love this every time I read it, so obviously a 5-star again. So then I read Once and Future by Amy Rose Capetta and Corey McCarthy. This was on my self-destruct list for this year, and I'm really glad I ended up getting to it because I've been putting it off because of the not so positive reviews I've heard about it, and I ended up really enjoying this. This got a 4-star. I thought it was really good. It did have, like, it felt a little bit disjointed at the beginning because it just seemed to jump times. Like, I didn't know how long things were taking and whatnot, and there was only one point in it where I knew exactly how long it had been, and it had been a year. That was the only part I knew how long this time was jumping, and it was really confusing. But the story and the characters I actually really enjoyed, and I really loved the twist on the Arthurian retelling side of things. I thought it was really cleverly done, and it has actually made me want to pick up the sequel. So really happy with that, and I'm glad I managed to read it before it self-destructed. Very happy with that. Next up, I read Destination Anywhere by Sarah Bernard. This was a 5-star. I don't think I've ever given a Sarah Bernard book anything less than a 5-star. I love her writing. She's one of my favourite contemporary authors, and I just think she writes like 16, 17-year-olds so well based on, I mean, I don't know so much for like 16, 17-year-olds nowadays, but like if I look back on when I was that age, I can relate to some of the things that these characters go through. Not so much this character, but I really enjoyed the development of the character and like her figuring things out whilst having this mad adventure and road trip spontaneously. I thought it was really well done, and it's really made me want to travel Canada now. But yeah, I thought it was really nice. I really liked the friendships she made and the friendships she realised weren't so great, and I really think that the character developed really well in this. And also a lot of the time with YA contemporaries, if the parents are alive, which they are in this, they just seem to like let their kids get away with literally anything, and it's like, where are these kids' parents? But with this, the parents were like constantly on her back, like, what are you doing, blah blah blah. and I thought that was really realistic. So yeah, really loved this. So glad I finally got to reading it. Also, if the lighting keeps going, I'm really sorry. It's decided to be half sunny, half really cloudy out, which is just fun times. Fun. But anyway, the next book I read was another book off my self-destruct list, and that was Magic for Liars by Sarah Gailey. Now, this did get 3 stars. However, I think if I wasn't using Corpile, it would have got a 2. I wasn't that much of a fan of this, which was a shame, but I'm glad I finally got to it and got it off of my TBR. This was like murder mystery, witches, magic school, and the premise sounded amazing, and I just don't think the execution was great. I didn't care for any of the characters, and granted, I didn't really see the resolution being what it was, but so I did think that was pretty clever, and I think that's probably why it got 3 star and not 2. But apart from that, I just that there was nothing that amazing about this, and I just didn't really care much for any of the characters or anything, to be honest. But at least I've read it now, and it doesn't have to self-destruct. It's read. That's good. Progress. Next up, I read The Mad Ship by Robin Hobb, which is the second book in the Life Ship Trader trilogy, and I'm so happy to report this got a 5 star. I genuinely do think I found my Robin Hobb vibe now. I obviously wasn't a fan of Assassin's Apprentice, but I've really been enjoying this trilogy. I'm now 2 books down in the trilogy, and I cannot wait for my reserve of the 3rd book to come into the library, because I can't wait to start book 3 and find out what the hell is going to happen in this trilogy. I have really started to like certain characters. I think the character development for all the characters is really good in this series. Whether the characters are turning good or bad, like, I think overall it's just really good development and how it's done. And I had a theory about something, and I was right on the theory, and I'm like really smug about it right now. But yeah, 5 stars, really happy with this, and have been really enjoying buddy reading this with Kelly and just chatting about how much we hate certain characters. Next up, we have Black Dawn by Rachel Kane, which is the 12th Morganville Vampires book, and it's got a 3 star. I knew this was coming, because this is the 2nd book where you follow like Magnus and the Draug, and I just don't care for that little storyline whatsoever. The only reason this got as high a rating is because her writing and the characters are just incredible in all of the books. But it's just the plot and intrigue and everything for this is just not it. I'm not a fan. I know there are people that like this part of it, but I didn't. I didn't the first time I read it, didn't the second time I read it. So yeah, glad I've got through this one, because now I can get on to the next one, which is so much better. Next up, we had one of my most anticipated reads of 2021, and that was This Poison Heart by Kaylin Bayron, and this got a 5 star. I absolutely loved this. I need book 2. I had my suspicions about a character, and those suspicions were proven correct. However, there was a lot that I did not see coming in this, and I was like, hold the front door. But I really enjoyed the characters. I thought they were really well written. I loved the story. Apparently this is supposed to be a Secret Garden retelling, and honestly, apart from the fact that the main character has a secret garden full of like plants and herbs and poisons and that, apart from that, there is literally nothing that links it to the Secret Garden, and I'm not a fan of the Secret Garden, like, at all. So I'm just going to pretend this isn't a Secret Garden retelling, because I don't think it is. I'm just saying. But I really enjoyed this, and I was really glad, because I loved Cinderella is Dead. It's one of my favourite books of 2020, one of my favourite books ever. So I was really daunted by the fact that the author was bringing out a new book, because you know when one of your favourite authors brings out that second book and you're like, are they going to still be a favourite author? Yes. Yes, they are. So I'm really happy with this. Next up, we had another anticipated read, and this is probably my actual most anticipated book of 2021, and that was Empire of the Vampire by Jay Kristoff. It's one of my many copies. I have 4 copies now. This is the Waterstones edition, and this is the one I read. This come out as a 5-star on Core Pile. I was a little bit worried going into this because it was a little bit of a slower start, and that is because, and this is in the blurb, so it's not a spoiler, it's basically the main character is telling another character their life story, essentially. So it's a very storytelling thing, and I've never really been into those sorts of books, but I think it's because it's Jay Kristoff's writing, and he has just, if you've read Nevernight and you like his writing style and his humour and everything, you will like this. I loved this, and I cannot wait for the second book, even though I'm gonna have to wait because he's probably going to take 5 years to write it. But I really loved this, and I was really happy that I loved it. I literally devoured the last like 400 pages of it. This is like 700 pages, and I devoured 400 pages of it in an evening because I literally could not put it down, and I didn't want to put it down. So this was a very happy reading experience for me, even though it did make me cry a few times, but overall very happy with this book. Next up, we have Opposite of Always by Justin A. Reynolds. This was a 4-star. I buddy read this with Chloe and Olivia, and I really enjoyed sort of everything about this. I actually thought it was a bit of a contemporary going in, but it ended up, and I don't know why, because it literally says it in the blurb, but it's contemporary, but it's got a sci-fi vibe because there's like a Groundhog Day situation where he meets this girl, they're together for like 4 months, and then she dies, and then he wakes up at the point he meets her, and they live the 4 months, and she still dies, and each time he tries to do something differently to save his girlfriend, and each time there's a butterfly effect because he'll change something else by accident, and those things can be like tiny things that wouldn't matter. But then there's also other times where he messes up so badly that other massive things change. And yeah, it was really cute. It was funny. I loved the main character. I thought he was hilarious, and it was just a fun reading experience, constantly like not knowing whether this is going to be the time he actually saves her, if he's going to ever save her, if he's going to save her but mess up something else and not be able to reverse it. And yeah, there was loads of questions throughout, and I just really loved the ending of this. I thought it was a really well done ending, and I really enjoyed reading it. So I'm really glad, because I bought this a while back and it's been sitting on my shelves and just nothing's been bringing me to pick it up, and I'm glad I finally did because I ended up loving it. The next book I read was my favourite book of the month. It beat Empire of the Vampire on Core Pile by 0.29 points, and that is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. This is a kind of sequel series to the Caraval series. So I will say, if you have not read Caraval and you would like to read Caraval, read that first, because there is massive spoilers in this for basically how Caraval wraps up, how that trilogy wraps up. So if you don't want to read Caraval but you do want to read this, then go for it, because you'll get the answers that you need to understand this story. Anyway, this is Jax. Now, I am clearly someone who needs therapy because Jax is my favourite character. I love the morally grey characters. I love the pure evil villains. Those are my types in books. And Jax falls under one of those categories. So obviously Jax is my favourite. So when I found out this was coming out and it was going to be based on Jax, let me tell you, I was happy. And it didn't disappoint. Obviously this got a 5-star, obviously. I absolutely loved this. I loved everything about it. I loved the new character that was introduced. I thought she was a really good character, and I did like seeing bits and pieces of the previous books, and it was just so good. Like, I genuinely don't know how to word my feelings for it, and I have to write a review for this because I got an e-arc of it on NetGalley, and I'm like, how the hell am I going to write a review that isn't just, oh my god, I love this, I love this, I love this, oh my god, it was amazing. Like, that's what it's going to be eventually when I write it. We'll see how it goes, we'll see. But yeah, that was my favourite book of the month, and I'm really happy that I actually got it on my TBR and read it before release, because it's just incredible. The next book I read was Nemesis by Brendan Reichers, which was another book from my self-destruct. Yes, I read 3 books off of my self-destruct video in 1 month, after 4 months of reading none. But we're not going to talk about that. This is the 3rd one I've read. And I am really glad I read this, because this was so good. This was a 4-star. I did have a few like things that I'm a bit about. So it was very confusing in parts, but the intrigue and the atmosphere was so high on this that even though I'm really confused, because we got some answers, but I still have so many questions and I need book 2. But the twist at the end, I wasn't expecting, and I'm still not sure how I feel about it. I know I didn't hate it, but I'm still not sure how I feel about it. But I thought the characters were really well done, and I liked how we got 2 POVs from 2 very different characters, and I enjoyed how, I said this in my vlog, a lot of the times when you get the POV from a character who's like a teenager, it's very much you don't see that person's faults through that person's eyes. But with this, the character would think something about the other character and then be like, wait, why am I thinking that? And question themselves as why they feel that way. And I thought it was really well done, and it was very realistic for a teenager. So yeah, I really enjoyed this, and I am looking forward to getting the 2nd book and reading that. Next up, we had Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman. This obviously was for month 2 of Scythe-along, which the live show for this is actually going to be the evening this goes live. So if you're watching this the day that it's posted, the live show's this evening to this day. And this was a 5-star. Are we shocked? No. This was so good. Like, look, I don't usually tab books, but look how many tabs there are in that book. The live show is going to be interesting for this. I have so many thoughts, and the ending of this has literally just blown my mind. I cannot wait to read the 3rd book because I need answers. But this book made me cry. It kind of ripped my heart out a little bit, and at the same time had me just like, my mind was reeling, and it still kind of is now when I think about it, because I have no idea how the 3rd book is going to go whatsoever. No idea. So, but I am interested, and I do have a few thoughts. But anyway, I can't go into that yet. I can't go into that now. Maybe on the live show I will, because we would have all read it there. But yeah, I really loved this, and I'm really glad that this also got a 5-star, because Scythe was a 5-star for me. This was a 5-star, and I'm really hoping The Toll is also a 5-star. But I love the characters. Rowan and Citra are just the best. I love Curie, and there was a few gasp moments in this, like in the first one. And yeah, there was a few shocks and twists and turns, and I just thought it was really well written. Next up was another anticipated book of 2021, and that was Realmbreaker by Victoria Aveyard. This was a 4-star, and I'm kind of a little bit disappointed, because I did think this might be a 5-star. All of the Red Queen series was a 5-star for me. I absolutely love that series so much. And then this one was a 4-star. However, I do think the second book has a lot of potential to be a 5-star, especially with how it's ended. I really liked the characters. I liked how the characters met and went about their journey and adventure and tasks. And I don't really know what else to say without spoiling, because literally all of my thoughts about it right now are spoilery. But yeah, I thought it was really well done, and I love the premise, but I just think I need a bit more. There was one character in particular, which there was only 2 chapters for that character, and I need more of that character because I'm really intrigued. I'm hoping that character is more present in the second book, but I am very excited for the second book. Like I said, I think it's got great potential to be a 5-star for me. And I'm just a little bit disappointed that this one wasn't, but it was still a 4-star and I still loved it and I really enjoyed my time reading it. So I can't be too disappointed. Next up, we have Horror Store by Grady Hendrix. This was a 4-star. I really enjoyed this. This was sort of an unexpected 4-star. So I've only read one other thing by Grady Hendrix. I kind of hated it a little bit. Sorry if people like Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, but I hated it. So when this was on Chloe's Crime Scene Corner pick for September, I was like, do you know what? I've heard good things about this. I really like how it's set out kind of like an IKEA. There's creepy things there. It's set out like an IKEA catalogue, and it's set in a fake IKEA, and it even calls it at the beginning of the book a fake IKEA. It's the American ripoff of IKEA. But I was intrigued by it, so I thought I'm going to get it out of the library. So I did. And I'm really glad I did, because I really enjoyed this. This was so creepy to the point that I was reading it at night and I had to stop reading because it was creeping me out too much. So then I continued reading it the next day when it was sunny and bright out. And it wasn't just before I went to bed. But yeah, this was really creepy, and I just want to like look at this cover. So it looks pretty normal apart from the pictures, but then if you turn it round, there's like hands coming out of there, cracks, chains, and that says it all you need to know about this book. It's quite there's a few bits that made me feel a bit sick with how like descriptive and gory they are. Not gonna go into that, but it was so well done, and the ending was so clever. Like, I still can't get over the ending. I loved how it ended. I thought it doesn't like 100% wrap up, and I loved that. Usually, you know, you want answers from a standalone, but these were the sort of unanswered things that I don't think they need to be answered in the book. You can make your own decisions about how things are going to go, but yeah, because otherwise it's just going to be really repetitive. But I thought this was really well done, and I'm really glad I read this. So thank you, Chloe, for picking this for your September book, because I'm really glad I read it. And then the 15th and final book I read in September was Angel Volume 1. So this is the reboot of Buffy and Angel, and this was actually, I literally read this on the evening of the 30th. And I literally received this in the post about lunchtime on the 30th, because it was gifted to me by Chloe at the Persistent Bookworm, and it's really handy because I have Buffy Volume 2 on my TBR for October, and after putting that on my TBR, I found out that you're actually supposed to read Angel Volume 1 before you read Buffy Volume 2. So really happy I managed to squeeze this one in. Obviously, it's only a graphic novel, but like, it's just the artwork is stunning, and I just love everything about this. This was also a 4-star. I'm really intrigued about how this is going, because obviously where it's very different from the TV show, so there's no way of knowing like this is how things are gonna go, because it's completely different to the TV show. And I'm really enjoying that, because I have apart from the characters, I have no, like, I can't think of the word. What is wrong with me today? I have no, like, preconceived ideas about it other than for characters. So, like, Fred come into this one, which I love Fred in the TV show. And then at the end, another character is mentioned, which I imagine volume 2 is going to follow that, like, them meeting that character. But yeah, really enjoyed this. I'm really glad I managed to fit this in September. So that was my wrap up for September. I'm really, really happy with how it went. I feel like I've babbled a bit with some of those, so if I have, I apologise. I'm really happy with how this month went, or last month rather. So I'm really hoping I can sort of like carry this energy into October, because if you've seen my October TBR, you'll know it is chaotic and hectic, and I don't know how the hell I'm going to do this, but I'm going to give it a good go. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know what your favourite book that you read in September was, and I will see you next time. Bye.